Welcome to All Things Social Security. My name is Stephanie Joy of Joy Disability. I am a Social Security disability attorney, and I would like to invite you to watch our daily video tips on the Social Security disability and SSI claims process each day at the new time of noon Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube on this channel. And on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have our live Q&A live stream. So you are welcome to join that as well. Ask your questions, get there on time, and you'll be one of the first answered. Thanks so much and have a great day. Enjoy the video. Morning, afternoon, or evening. Let's go over number 7 on the function report. Someone brought up recently at, I think, one of the live Q&A sessions. I think that's where it was. I think it was a suggestion or an idea that under number 7, which asks if you take care of anyone, such as family, spouse, kids, things of that nature. I think it was Michelle, and it was a good question, Michelle. The example provided was if the applicant for SSD happened to live with a disabled person who is self-sufficient, and I sometimes go with them to the store, keep them company, sounds like friends or family. Shouldn't I be putting it under number 7? And I say, no. If you are not the caretaker of that person, then why would you pretend that you are? Because if you are able to caretake for somebody, that rises your level of capacity to something more than someone who can't be a caretaker. So they don't ask you about that question does not ask about, are you nice? Are you a good person? Are you a friendly family member? Are you supportive to other disabled? Like, it's not the place to virtue signal. It's not the place to show what a good family member you are. That's not the issue. And you are risking giving the impression, because you answered it under, are you taken care of? Giving affection, I would not consider the same thing as taking care of. For the same reason that if you're affectionate and friendly to someone you bump into at the store, you're not their caretaker either. So I would not be including that at all. Because when they take about taking care of something, that is caretaking. And there are actually jobs that are caretaker jobs. So if you're trying to show that you could do that job and lose your case, so be it. I don't think you should do it. I've seen it also with the one about pets. I think that's maybe 8 or right below that. And I'll see people say that they pet their cat and give it affection. And I would also say that's not really the caretaking duties. That's what we do because we like it. The caretaking duties would be the eating, the feeding, the letting them out, the changing the kitty litter, the going for a walk if you have a dog, all the things, taking them to the vet, all the things that are kind of required to properly caretake. Yes, is affection nice? It is, but it's not the chore. It's not a chore task. If I'm being friendly, therefore I'm able to do this chore of being friendly. I wouldn't mix up the two. And remember, you're trying to prove that you are unable to do any job that exists in substantial numbers in the economy. So why would you be trying to show that when it's not asked, why would you be putting forth something that's not responsive to the question and simply makes it look like you're a caretaker because you just said that you were, even though you're not? Anyway, that's how I would do number 7. It's literally for, like if you have a spouse and they're a self-sufficient person, you're not their caretaker. You're partners, right? I wouldn't be putting that I caretake for my spouse because I eat dinner with him. You understand? If I have teenage children who are self-sufficient and they don't need me to dress them, to feed them, to make their bottle, I wouldn't define that as caretaking. Being a role model, being a source of love and support is not what they're talking about. It's where you are going to be describing if you actually do some tasks that raise you to a level of someone not able to do those tasks. And it helps define how capable you are of doing things that could transfer to the workplace. So that is not something you want to, I think I used the word virtue signal. It's not a time to virtue signal and try to make something that's just normal friendliness or companion stuff into, a martyrdom caretaking. I just think conflating it that way is not in your favor and it's untrue. So, all right. So don't hurt yourself where you don't need to. All right. Number 7, guys. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Hey, so if the subject matter of the video you just listened to is of interest and you want more on it, stay tuned. Here's another one about the same topic, but a little bit different. Bye now. Good evening. All right, function report. Back to the function report. This is going to be about question number 7. Do you take care of anyone else, such as wife, husband, children, grandchildren, parents, friend, or other? Yes or no? If yes, for whom do you care and what do you do for them? Okay. Can be a loaded question. If you are a true and true caretaker for somebody, that's very arduous work, arguably, and often full time. So if you're able to do that, it's going to really probably be inconsistent with many otherwise disabling conditions. Not all the time, but it shows a lot of strength, reliability, focus, concentration, all that kind of stuff. So when you answer this question, you have to be careful to not over exaggerate what a great person you are to your family. Sometimes I see answers where, our care of our families is probably the most important thing in our lives, right? So this question here is not actually a virtue signal opportunity. They're not looking for you to show how nice and wonderful and a great parent or spouse or grandparent you are to take on, caretake for others. Like as a grandparent, you're not going to look like, well, you might look like a martyr if you're caring for your kids' children because they're not pulling up the slack, or if something has happened to them. Even though you might be truly a martyr, the point is that is not going to help you. In fact, that can hurt you. So if it is the true that you are raising somebody, a child, because someone's got to, right? You want to be sure to emphasize in the manner what you're not doing. So if it's a teenager, for instance, let's face it, you're not changing diapers. You're probably not making meals. I mean, teenagers can do all that themselves, doing their laundry, cleaning their room, So if you are opting to do those things for an otherwise healthy teenager, it might say a lot about how not disabled you are because your disabilities are not bad enough to actually have the teenager, wipe himself, so to speak. If it's a baby, and you are 24/7 taking care of a baby, and I know a lot of young parents out there, this is the case. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's no instance when you would be found disabled nonetheless. But I think they take a close look at it because that is, I did it for 2 kids. It is a lot of work and a lot of attention. So if you're saying that you have brain fog, unreliability, but you're caring for a baby, it might not appear that way. Now, there are times when someone said, questions someone about it after, and they're like, well, no, my mom lives with me and she does a lot of it. So basically, we're both kind of working together to do it. So when I need to nap and rest, she's doing it, or my sister or my cousin or my teenage child is helping with the baby. That is really, really important. And there is a question down below, number 9, that says, does anyone help care for other people or animals? And that's with addressing whether you care for pets, which is the next question, number 8. After number 7, not only are you going to want to not over exaggerate how much you do for the children, a lot of times it's moral support and like get to school, make sure they're up out of bed. Did you do your homework? Hey, there's leftovers, grab some for dinner. And sometimes, yes, you're making some meals for them, depending, some people can't do that. Or if they do, it's prepared foods, stick it in the microwave and heat up the Stouffer's. You want to be sure to, if it's not 24/7 and all by yourself caretaking, you want to make sure that's clear in number 7. So you would say yes, but say, because it says what you do for them, you would want to, not exaggerate what you do for them because you can. It's not a time to virtue signal or, show what a great person you are, because those things don't help you get disability. They just don't. Not at this rate anyway. So I just want you to take better care when you answer number 7, if the shoe fits. There are plenty of people that the answer is no, no, no down the line. They don't have kids. They're not taking care of anybody. They might be married and they all, jointly get through life together, but she doesn't take care of him and he doesn't take care of her per se. Or maybe he does take care of her. Sometimes just because you're married, don't take this to mean like I have to say I take care of my spouse. Sometimes you are the one being taken care of by the other spouse because of your disabilities, because of your difficulties. So give that some thought when you answer number 7. I would be focusing more on what you do physically for them, particularly if you have physical impairments. If all you have is mental impairments, it's going to be tough if you're caring a lot for somebody because that is a lot of mental work or reliability at any rate. And the question might be, why can't you reliably show up to a fifth grade job? That's super easy, and low stress. So tread with care there. When the kids are in school, I would mention perhaps when they're home, I make sure they get home from school. So really your on time is, 3 o'clock, to make sure they get home. Then they probably do their own thing anyway, and you're doing whatever you do. So, different ways to look at it, but just read it with an eye towards you're not trying to be a martyr here. They're trying to find out what you're capable of doing because it can really translate into a paying job that exists in substantial numbers, which would mean you're not disabled. So, all right, every question is trying to do that. Find out what you can do. So we need to emphasize what you can't do. Alrighty, number 7. And while we're at it, 8 and 9, pretty much. I don't know if I need a separate one for those. We'll figure that out by now. Hello again. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful, if not just a little bit informative. In the event you have a Social Security question you want addressed, please feel free to make a comment below and ask the question, even if nothing to do with this particular video. And just a quick, again, reminder, we have our daily video shares and tips around noon every day of the week. And on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have our live Q&A session where you can come in live and enter your questions in the chat. And we all pretty much have a good time for an hour or two. I look forward to seeing you there, hopefully. And lastly, don't forget about our benefactor memberships. They're very reasonably priced. The first one is very nominal and you get a few perks, but on a bigger scale, it contributes to us being able to fulfill a mission of assisting certain people with representation that would otherwise not be able to get it. We look forward to continuing to do that. And so far it's working out like the bomb. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Bye-bye now.